Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. This video of science is here to make you revise all the concepts of your first unit so that you have a strong grip on your first unit, that is from cells to organisms. So if you people remember that in that one unit we have first introduced microscope to our cells. So the first question that we have studied in this chapter, that was what is a microscope? So all of you remember that microscope is an instrument that is used to see tiny microorganism that cannot be seen with the naked eye. Means microscope is an instrument that you people will use to see the object that is not visible with your eye. So the next question is, what is specimen? So the object, the thing that you will observe is called a specimen. And if it is placed under a microscope, you should have to place it on some microscope slide to see it clearly, because it's very difficult for you people to hold something in front of microscope to see that. So that's why we will put it on a microscope slide first, and then we will observe under the microscope. The next, you can see the parts of microscope over here. There are some different parts of a microscope. The first one part is an eyepiece. Eyepiece is a place where the eye looks into, means from where you will put the eye on a microscope, it will called as a eyepiece. The next one is objective lens. It will magnify the object, it will make the object clear to you, visible to you. And the next one part is arm. It should be held when moving a microscope, means whenever you are moving a microscope from one place to another, you will hold it from a arm. The next part is stage. It is where the specimen slide is placed, means where it is the place where you will put your specimen slide. Stage clips. It holds the specimen slide still on the stage clip, means definitely microscope, when you are putting something on a microscope, there is a chances of that one thing to move from here. So that's why stage clips are there, to give it grip on a microscope. Light source will provide light to that one object. And the next part is power switch, because we are using electronic microscope, so the power switch is pressed on to supply the power to the microscope. To supply the electricity connection, we will turn on the power switch. The next one is focus knobs. There are two kinds of focus knobs on a microscope. They will turn to get a sharp and clear image, because when the image is too blur, when the image is not clear, you can make it clear and focused by a focus knob. Base, it should be held together with the arm when moving a microscope, means it will provide support to the microscope. It will be hold together with the arm to move it from one place to another. The next one, you can see that there are different parts of microscope shown in this one picture. The first one is eyepiece, arm, and then third one is stage. You can see over here stage clips are there to give it support. Coarse adjustment knob, fine adjustment knobs are there to make it stable, to make it give a clear and sharp image of that one object that is placed on its stage. Next, base is there to give it support. Light source is there to give it light. Objective lens are there to magnify the object, and then nose piece is there to hold the different kinds of objective lenses, because you can see there are three different kinds of objective lenses you can see over there. So these they will be fitted in the nose piece. The next one is also a picture of a microscope that you can see over there, that is representing different parts of a microscope. You can see the specimen over here as well, some plant specimen in the first picture and the animal specimen in the second picture. So these are some information about the specimen. Here we are reading that a specimen is the object that is observed, is called a specimen. It can either be observed through an eye or a microscope. Its size is not fixed. A specimen can either be living or a non-living, means it can be dead as well or living as well. Non-living specimen can be preserved for several years in the laboratories. You can see as well in the pictures, they are all non-living because they are dead now. Then specimen can be preserved in alcoholic solutions as well, because you can see that they are all put in some liquid solution. So this liquid solution is actually alcoholic solution to make it preserve for some years. So these are actually different kinds of specimen. The characteristics of specimens we have discussed. After that, there is microscope slide. Microscope slide is used when you are using when you are observing something under a microscope, and the object that you want to see under a microscope, you will place it on you will place it on a microscope slide first. Then the next, you can see there are some different pictures of a microscope slides where shown as well. The next, we have studied cells and specialized cells in this one chapter, the cells and specialized cells. So the first is, what is cell? So cell is the basic unit of life, and it is the smallest part of a living thing which is capable of carrying out basic life processes. Means cell is the building block, cell is the everything, you can say. It is actually the everything of life, the basic unit of life, and the smallest part of a living thing as well. It is capable of carrying out different life processes as well. Means every activity of a human being, or you can say of a living thing, is done by the cell. What is the history about cells? So more than 300 years ago, a scientist, Robert Hooke, used a microscope to observe thin slices of cork. He found that the cork was made up of tiny boxes which he called cells. Cork is actually the part of a plant. So in that one cork, he has observed that some slices are there. And when he has observed the slices, he has said that these slices are of equal shape or of equal sizes. So he has called them cells at that time. And from which he has observed by his own microscope, that was Hooke's microscope. And you can see in the picture as well what was a Hooke microscope. So you can see the picture of a Hooke microscope as well, and he was the scientist who has named the tiny boxes cells. Then on the basis of number of a cell, there are two types of organism. The first is unicellular organism, and the second one is multicellular organism. Unicellular organisms are made up of one cell, because uni means one. All functions are performed by that one cell, because it is made up of just one cell. So all the functions will be performed by this single cell. For example, yeast, alga, paramecium, amoeba, these are the example of unicellular organisms. The next one is multicellular organism. They are made up of more than one cell. Every cell will perform its different specialized function. Means because it is having more than one cell, so every cell will be specialized to do the different function. For example, human, sunflower, elephant, mouse, rose, and so on. So if they are specialized to do different functions, so they are of different types as well, that we will study further. The next is the some examples. Next is some are example of unicellular organism: paramecium, amoeba, bacteria, yeast. These are the example of some different kinds of unicellular organisms that are made up of just one cell, and every function of these organisms will be performed by that one single cell. The next are some examples of multicellular organisms: plant body, human body, insect. In plant there are different kinds of plants. In human there are different kinds of animals will be considered. So they all are multicellular organism, and they will perform their different functions by different cells. The next one are type of cells. There are two types of cells: plant cells and animal cell. Plant cells will be present in plant cell, and animal cell will be there in animals. So the next is the picture of a plant cell to show you that how it looks like. So this is the picture of a plant cell having a nucleus, chloroplast, vacuole, cell wall, cell membrane, cytoplasm, mitochondria, and so on. Next one is the typical animal cell picture, and it will show you that how an animal cell looks like. So you can see that in an animal cell it is circular in shape and having a nucleus, cell membrane, mitochondria, vacuole, cytoplasm, and lysosomes. So these are having different body, you can say, parts of a cell that will perform different function. So plant cell and animal cell are different in shape and different in functions as well. The next one are specialized cells. So if you remember, just when we are discussing about multicellular organism, we have said that they are having multicellular organism. They are having different cells to perform its different specialized functions. So when they are performing a specialized function means they are called as specialized cells as well. So in an animal cell there are different kinds of specialized cell to perform different functions, and the first one category of that one specialized cell is nerve cell. Nerve cell, and the function of nerve cell is that it receives or carry messages. A nerve cell has many branched endings which receive messages in the form of electrical signals, and it has a long fiber to pass messages to other nerve cell. You can see that nerve cell has an branched ending which will receive the messages or carry the messages to different parts as well. So its shape is not like a typical animal cell, you can see as well. So its shape is different because its function is different, but it is having the same body parts as the animal cells, mean it is having a nucleus, it is having a mitochondria, it is having a nucleus, vacuole, cytoplasm, but just its shape is different. Always remember, shape is different but the internal structure, you can say, it is same. The next one animal cell is red blood cell. Red blood cell, the function of red blood cell is to carry oxygen around the body. And what is the structure of red blood cell? It is a red blood cell. A red blood cell contains a red pigment called hemoglobin, which enable it to transport oxygen. It is circular in shape. You can see that in the picture as well, that it is circular in shape and flattened in the mid. It is flattened from the mid just to give it a large surface area, and this will allow it to take oxygen quickly. Red blood cells are there to take the oxygen throughout your body, and when they are carrying the oxygen, their shape should be maintained so that they can absorb as much oxygen as they can. So they are flattened from the mid just to increase the surface area for the more absorption of oxygen in it. The next animal cell type is sperm cell. Sperm cell, the function of sperm cell is to move from one place to another. And the structure of sperm cell is telling us that a sperm cell has a long tail, you can see in the picture as well, which enable it to swim towards an egg, and it will go to the egg to fertilize it to make it able to work. Fine. The next are some examples of plant cells. The first example from a type of a plant cell is a palisade cell. Palisade cell is absorb as much light as possible. And what is the structure of palisade cell? The palisade cell is a cylindrical shaped cell usually found near the upper surface of a leaf. It contains many chloroplasts which contain chlorophyll, and these features allow the palisade cell to absorb sunlight to do the process of photosynthesis. Now you can see that a palisade cell is having a chloroplast, and when they are having a chloroplast, it means they are having chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is there to trap the sunlight, and when they are trapping the sunlight, it means they are doing the process of photosynthesis. And palisade cells will be there in the leaf because photosynthesis is occurring in leaf of a plant. The next one example of a plant cell is plant guard cell. The plant guard cell, the function of plant guard cell is there that it will control the size of stomatal opening. Stomatal openings are there for the entry, you can say, for the entry of different kinds of material into the cell or out of the cell. So when the guard cells are have when the guard cells when the guard cells are swollen, you can say stomata are open, and it is shown in the picture as well. You can see in the picture that guard cells swollen, the stomata is open, and stomata is actually the opening through which the different kinds of material will enter or leave the cell. And when the guard cell are shrunken, the stomatal opening is closed. So the structure, if we come towards the structure of a guard cell, that a plant guard cell occur in pairs. You can see they are two in numbers. They are two in numbers, either they are swollen or shrunk. So the plant guard cells are usually found on the underside of a leaf. They are present in the underside of a leaf. Each pair of a guard cell is shaped so that there is a tiny opening called a stoma between them. To close the stomata, the guard cells are change their shape. To close the stomata, the guard cell will change their shape. You can see here they are here they are swollen, and here they are shrunken just because to close the stomata. And stomata is open at daytime and closed at night time. This is also an extra point that I have told you. The next type of plant cell is a root hair cell. It will absorb water and mineral salts. Structure of root hair cell of a plant has a long and narrow protrusion which increase its surface area and allow it to absorb water and mineral salts quickly. You can see that it is having a long protrusion. It is actually called as root hair. So this root hair is there to absorb roots and to absorb salts and minerals from the soil and give it to the upper body parts of a plant. So the function of root hair cell is to absorb water and minerals. So now you have seen that we have studied different kinds of cells and their specialized function as well, and we have seen that their functions vary according to their shape as well. Their shape vary according to they are having some special character for regarding to their function. So that's all about cells and specialized cells, and this unit will carry the information about cells and their function. So this all from my side. Hope you people understand well and revise your concept of unit 1, that is from cells to organism. Thank you. That's all from my side. Allah Hafiz and take care.